How do you handle that in terms of when they're all playing at the same time?
Yeah, they 8 of them played with Sony. It was a nightmare. But you want me to just tell them?
Yeah, why not?
You know, I mean, the first thing that I bought is I bought a swing catalyst, which is it's another force plate that shows torque, and it was okay. But the thing is, I bought this for my putting studio. I have a putting studio in my house, so I just wanted an inexpensive way to buy a pressure, and I bought it for my putting studio. And then I got it, and the thing with the thing that's so good about this mat is the portable part's awesome. I mean, but what's really kick-ass about it is the heel-to-toe thing, because you can make a guy make a linear trace when you know where the pressure is in the toe to heel. And a perfect example of here's one thing I learned from him. When I was a young guy, I was a pretty good player, you know, club pro wise, and I always had an up and out backswing. Like, it didn't look pretty on video, but I hammered it in the middle of the face, and I hit the ball, and it went out there, went a little left, and then went right, and I hit it out of the center of the face. As my evolution of my teaching went on, I got to be a little more of a golf machine instructor, and I was much more into backswing playing. So I got my golf swing looking awesome on video. It was going right up the plane, but I hit it in the heel all the time, and I didn't drive it very good. I drove it way better when I looked ugly. So, you know, till I got this mat, I don't know, a year ago or however long, I still, even with the swing catalyst, like I couldn't pick up on it. Then I got this mat, and because it has toe to heel weight, I got on there and I realized how I got the club on plane going back was, and I teach elbow plane for backswing, how I got it on plane was I had 90% of the weight in my right heel, so I was turning and kept the handle down and got 90% of the weight in my right heel, and then I put 80% in my left toe. Well, the golf club's going to follow your pressure trace. So then I got back on the mat, and just all I cared about was getting like 50-50 on my right, and then running it into my left to make it a linear trace. And I got hammered in the center of the face again. So then I go, and I messed around with it a couple days, and then I went and looked at it, and on video, I looked just like I did when I was a kid. So my athletic move was better than my pretty move. So now I'm in the process, and I never play. I normally just torture myself, like trying stuff all the time. And now I'm in the process of trying to plane it back up with a proper pressure trace. But saying all that, the thing is, if you get somebody, there's so many things in this that were so, like, I got a kid that plays at Georgia. The Georgia coach called me and goes, man, I got a kid here that can't hit it. I mean, it looks pretty good, but it goes everywhere. So he shows up the first time, and I get him on TrackMan, and he's zeroed out, man. His club path is one to the right or one to the left. His club face will come in there 7 shut, and then 7 open the next one. It's the damnedest thing. And if I didn't have, like, a pressure, if I didn't know what was going on, I would have never fixed him. I'd be just sitting there and pulled my hair out, you know, just because I couldn't figure out why he couldn't clean the face up. But his pressure trace, it went pretty good back, and then went way in his left toe, and right at impact, it would start backing up. And, you know, and with a clean linear pressure trace with an iron, it just runs straight to the left side. So the things using it, like I'll give you my baseline. My baseline, when I get guys in there on it, is I'm trying to make the little pressure trace ball go as much up and straight through there as I can get it. And when a guy stands on it and he starts shifting his weight back and forth, it'll run right through there. And then you bend over and you throw the ankle in there, and they start swinging the club, and the ball starts moving all over the place. But my baseline, what I try to do is, most of my tour guys normally have about 55% of their weight on their left and about 45 on their right at the dress. They'll sit, and the other thing that I learned on this, and then if they're hitting like a 7-iron, they'll run it back to about 65%, and then they'll shear it through where they have, a lot of tour guys have 85, 88 in their left at impact. So what I want is, it's like 55, 45, run it back to this number here would be about 65 with a 6-iron. Drivers, it gets up to like in the 80s, and then run it sheer through, and really work on the balance between the feet. Like, if you tell people to get it around 50-50, and what you'll see with the amateurs, they are so driven the trace is so this way where they get out on their toes and they get stuck. They just never feel what it feels like to hit the inside of the ball from the position they're in. You just can't get the club shallowed out. So it's such a breakthrough for me because I've had people like Stephen Bovich I teach. It always looks really good, like on video, man, he's playing the crap out of it. On track, man, he's zeroed out, but, he hits wild left shots. Well, he had his pressure trace, went straight back and then had a circle. It went like it was just like an umbrella, top of an umbrella. Well, whenever the highest point right there was about an impact, well, that's his arms going away from it that you just can't see. So, does anybody have any questions?
One thing that you'll see with Scott, and I'm starting it up, but all of his traces in Scott, we were blessed to have Scott send us the traces of all his players when he's training in November, December, early December. It's unbelievable, it's uncanny, it's straight back and straight through. And we've took 2 years to look at all the 8,000 plus slides that we looked at. We found that there's 7 key traces that show up over and over and over again. But at the tour level, the one trace that shows up over and over again is exactly what you said, straight back, straight through. And we posted those 7 traces at bodytracksports.com under our knowledge center and at callpressuremapping.com. I just wanted to introduce you to Scott. He's perfect. Darren B's telling you how to use the mat because Scott's a real living proof. I mean, a lot of biomechanics out there that are talking about all this good stuff, but I've never seen any biomechanic out there, sorry, with all due respect to all of our peers, that's got 9 players on tour making millions of dollars every year. It's just unbelievable. Scott, I can't thank you enough for sharing some time here. But if there's any questions that you'd like to ask Scott.
Yeah.
So there's no arc, it's just going back.
Yeah, I mean, I have guys, I'm not going to lie to you, I've got some guys that have some slide arcs in there. I was working on Tom Gillis on the range the other day, but I'm trying to get the arc out of there.
That means your weight is going toward the heel?
Yeah, it's just like whenever you load it up on it, what happens is they get like this, like 50-50, and then it gives it that, see how it curves around? Well, that's you driving down into your toes and getting.
So you're on the backswing, your weight should
Here's the easiest way where I help guys, especially kids, with a trace. They sell one that's expensive, but I never buy an expensive crap. You can go to the dollar store and buy one of them things the kids whack themselves in the head with in the pool, those noodles, and cut the thing in half. Just take a straight edge and cut it in half, and put it under the middle of your foot, and stand on this thing, and if you get one way or the other way, it pitches you.
Yeah.
So I get people in there, and I'll stick that noodle under their feet, and I just make them feel that right there, just
so they have to
drive through there
with the middle of their feet.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I've got a couple guys that have some braking. What braking is whenever you have that push up, like, when you see Roy McIlroy and he gives an impact, he gives like that. That's braking. Guys that have a lot of power have that. You don't really want any of that in an iron swing. Ball's on the ground, you want to track it and smash through it and turn into it. You're going to get some people that have braking in iron swings that are great players. Harris English has braking in his iron swing, and he's flushing it right now. So, but in general, you have braking in the driver, the pressure trace is going to go up and back up around impact, and then with irons, it just goes flush into the left foot. Make it linear, And I think the reason, like, I have so many linear traces because I tell people all the time, I'm a backswing instructor. On the PGA Tour, they talk about how hard the greens are. It's a bunch of bullshit. The greens aren't hard. What they are is the wind blows all the time. So 9 out of the U.S. Open, Augusta, there's 2 or 3 events a year where the greens are firm and we'll jack the launch up. But the rest of the time, what you're really fighting is wind. So I'm such a backswing instructor because I want a guy to have the club on the elbow plane line pointed dead at the ball with the club head, the shaft, and the grip that ball when the club goes vertical. Then he can swing any club, any length, and smash it and make it and have a real narrow miss. I just care about a narrow miss. Well, I think that's why my traces are so linear is because all my guys, like I hammer people on backswing playing. Well, it gets the club balanced so it doesn't rock your body around as much. So that's kind of how I go about it.
Outstanding. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Well, I was just seeing if it integrates with flight scope and potatoes.
It does integrate to flight scope. The mat's the same. And also, Cave has hasn't completed the innovation, but they are going to do it apparently, so.
Okay.
Chuck, is KBS, when are they up and running?
My guess would be a matter of months, but
Yeah.
sounds okay.
And Le Mirage,
We'll have one of these one day. I think this is fantastic. To get your linear move, okay, just your weight stay really middle in your feet both times.
Yeah.
Because as a good player, I was always taught to go from heel to heel.
Yeah.
That's what I've been teaching.
Yeah.
So you.
I did
this
too,
sort of
like-
throws me because I was always taught heel to heel and make sure you're not on your toes.
I was, for so long, I was such, and I mean, I'm telling you, until I started pressure mapping, I was like, I wanted the club on plane, and I wanted the guy to post his leg out there as hard as he could and drive his weight in his left heel. You'd be surprised how that move is not really wrong. It's really hard to get super heel driven. It's harder than you think it is, like, because when I started doing this, like, everything I learned in golf changed the way I teach. TrackMan totally changed the way I taught. Then, you know, I was just a video guy, then TrackMan, then this. And you know how it is. You just take what you do and then you massage it, and you're like, you learn a new piece and you add it in there. But yeah, I was always, and that's why I bottom hitted drivers, because I got it on plane by throwing 90% of my weight in my right heel, and then I was trying to get it in my left, but I couldn't do it because it's, and that club, the club's going to follow that trace.
yeah.
I mean, it's the body's running the show whenever you're swinging the golf club. So.
And now if you're not teaching elite golfers, because most of the people we teach are not the elite, it's a small percentage. Do you find it pretty easy as soon as they see where the lines be linear that they can understand it quicker and sort of make a correction quicker?
I did an interview the other day for Golf Digest, and they asked me if I had to pick one piece of equipment and I was teaching amateurs what I was pick. I'd pick that. Because it loads people up behind it and sends it. Every amateur you get out there, man, they'll be like that. They never get any load. And people want power, man. They're all going to hit it crooked. They just want to send it. You know, so this thing here, you can load guys with it. Like, I mean, I ran Brendon Todd's club head speed up probably 4 or 5 miles an hour just because of the pressure magnets.
And teaching, do you teach much outside, or is it all at most?
I'm both. Like you know.
Using it outside?
Yeah, I use it. My mat, yeah, I use it. I've had it in bunkers. I take it on the golf course, you know. But like I'm lucky, I just teach tour guys and I'm experimenting all the time. And I work at this little redneck golf course where literally we play like 10,000 rounds a year, so I can just go set up on a hole and members don't care. I just shoot stuff out. Yeah. So I don't like living in the real world.
What the real question is they want to know if they can invite you to come play a Mirage and see what
But I mean,
because our teaching is done outside. I live in Canada.
I'm telling you,
So right now
it's a
the regions are
no-brainer,
hard.
man. I paid $22 grand for my swing catalyst that I bought like a year and a half ago, and I bought this on a whim just because I'm a technology freak. And I just called the guy up and said, "Man, I need a cheap pressure mat." And he goes, "I got one for you." And he sent it to me. I'd never met Terry. I hadn't talked to anybody. It's a buy crap. And I'm telling you, that thing, I'm sick I bought the swing catalyst because that thing's badass. Like, I can actually fix somebody with it. And it's the toe to heel pressure that's so critical, man. It's critical, like, because then you can massage it. You might not make it perfect, but you'll make it way better, man.
Do you okay, when you teach people, you go with the picture and just showing the relationship?
Yeah, I mean,
the picture or no?
see, when I put my mat in my bay, I stick the mat up there, and I'm not integrated yet. So I'm just, the software I use is, are you V1?
Yeah.
See, the software, I would love to be V1 and be integrated like that, but I use a different software, so I'm literally looking at Terry's software. And all he gets is pictures of me looking at the computer because it's so hard to sync up. Isn't it super hard? And I don't want to say the wrong
Well, no,
thing.
V1's accomplished it now.
They've
So
synced
that's
it up with the
they're,
actual.
they're the best that
Yeah.
the deal that we've got here with Scott is he's just been helping me out. And I want to just get back to the basics here. This camera, the V1 is the camera experts. That's why we're working with V1 because it's a great team. They
Yeah.
know everything about cameras. I know nothing. I like to say I'm the only Japanese guy that doesn't know anything about cameras. But I know nothing about cameras.
Yeah,
But
see,
we do
mine's
know
not
we use it
synced
just
to
right.
video, so I just
You're
watch.
gonna have to sync it to just.
I watch the EKG,
Okay.
like I watch that's all I'm watching.
So
Like,
it's just on the computer.
yeah. Yeah, and I've hit so many balls off of it now. Would I like to have it synced up where it'd be easier to teach? Absolutely.
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, portable, easy to use, cheap, and better. That's all I can say.
Go ahead.
When you said toe to heel pressure, that means you're just trying to keep the weight from going on the toe to the heels, you're keeping it.
Yeah, linear. Yeah, I want it right under your crotch.
You don't want an arc.
Yeah, just running straight ahead, just fast as it'll go.
Scotty, we gotta go for some, can I ask you 2 questions that you can address the audience? We've talked about the peak velocity, and you've used that very effectively to help Irish English and others get some distance.
Yeah.
So there's some other tools here that are on this chart that are very important to understand. And you know, we have a lot of data on our website and ballpressure.com, but this peak velocity, we were messing about one time and Scott sent some traces, and the gentleman's peak velocity was only around 200. So I suggested all you got to do is get more weight to your lead foot faster. Scott did that, and I believe that you picked up like 25 yards.
Yeah, that like Johnny Miller the other day, Harris played, finished 3rd at the Sony, and Johnny Miller was like, "This kid's hitting it forever."
Right there.
That deal right
Right
there.
there.
So we ran his velocity up there, but you know the other thing that's really interesting is, man, there's shoes out there that don't work for people.
Exactly.
Like I would have never, like I taught this crazy guy in Europe, Oliver Wilson. He's insane. He's that guy that like drinks soy milk and pops with me. He always, forever, he complained about his shoes. He was on Callaway's staff, and Callaway had these big heel-lifted shoes. And I showed up one day, and he's got them Vibram 5-finger things on. I'm like, what are you doing, man? He goes, man, I'm rocking around in those shoes. I'm like, whatever. Like, you know, the guy's sick all the time. He's just a wimp. But he was dead on it, man. I called him back after I got the freshman. I go, oh, man, I was making fun of you. You're on it, dude. You were nailed it. So,
can you talk about how, and if it's not too much straight, Scott actually fitted, he saw the trace that looked like a figure 8 with Harris English.
yeah.
And, you know, he was saying, you know, I think that trace is because of the shoes. We won't say what shoe company he was working on. He said, what do you think about this, Terry? And just on his own, you got Harris out of his shoes.
Yeah.
And his trace went out of, because he had a big heel, right?
Yeah.
So pushed all his weight to his toe, went around back to his heel.
I'm telling you, get people bare feet on it, you know. Right, like when the guy's struggling, falling around, take their shoes off, stick them on there.
Went straight back, straight through.
Yeah,
After that.
yeah. I'm telling you, that no shoes thing is, because people can feel what's going on down there. Like I'd always see Sean Foley do that all the time. I made fun of him. So now I'm right in there with him.
One last thing, if you don't mind. When recently you were doing some shot fitting with, I forgot who it was when we were
I
talking.
think it was Brendon Todd.
Brendon Todd. So Scott sends these traces to me, and he says, which shaft do you think is right for Brendon? And you know, crazy again, no pictures, no nothing, just the traces. I'm like, oh man, I better get this right. You know, this is Scott Hamilton, man, I gotta get this right. So what we do with this peak velocity, we time it to impact, and it's called the release factor. And it will be on this V1 very soon, I'm sure. And it's very identified, that's 170 milliseconds. So we measure that time. When the minute the golfer, at their peak velocity, that's the precise time, whether I look at it or not, we're shaft manufacturers. We want to know when you load the pressure on the shaft, and we time it from that point in time to impact. And in this case, it was 50 milliseconds, which is nothing. I mean, that's like, you blink and that's 50 milliseconds. The other one was about 60. I said, I'm betting on the 60. And sure enough, he was sitting at dead right with the 50 milliseconds.
That's right.
Scott, how much money did you win last night for using the new shafts?
Big team, hey.
You made money, made good money.
Yeah, I mean, I had 8 guys there and 6 of them made the cut.
Pretty darn good. So, no, any other questions? We're heading on down. Scott's going to be showing the tour traces that he's got collected at our booth after you're all done here. If you want to, you're more than free to come and join us.